Hi, welcome to In the Rough with Angie. I am your host, and this is episode 1. This is an introduction episode to what this podcast is going to be about. So, in the rough, if you're familiar with the term diamond in the rough just means that I'm still in it. Like, I'm not perfected yet. I'm still working through some things. So that's what I want everybody that I interview to just be able to relax in the fact that we are perfectly imperfect and we are all growing. We are all working on areas, but just to be encouraged that you are going to make it through whatever current challenge you are going through right now. And one of the ways that can happen is by reflecting on things that you have already overcome in life. So, a little bit about myself. I am a stay-at-home mother. I work from home. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I've been married to my husband for 11 years now. I resell clothing online. If you've heard of Poshmark and eBay, I resell clothing on those two platforms, and I also dog sit. I love animals. I get to watch people's dogs while they're away. They get to be in my home with me, with my dogs, and it's pretty exciting. I'm gonna start this interview with myself, this episode 1 interview with myself, by just establishing that I am in fact a human. I am not a robot. So I'm gonna start my interviews with a silly question, just to establish that I am an actual real person who is perfectly imperfect. My question for myself is, have you ever used somebody else's trash bin, like the big trash bins that are on the sides of everybody's houses, so when trash man comes, you just wheel out your big trash bin? Have I ever used somebody else's trash bin for my personal trash? The answer to that question is yes. Yes, I have. Do I remember exact examples? I have a memory playing in my mind of when that happened, just needing to get rid of something that I have in my car. So something I am remembering, when I do not smoke cigarettes, I was struggling for a couple of years in my life. So what I would do was I would buy a pack of cigarettes and I would smoke maybe 2 of them, and then I would throw the pack away. That it was like, okay, these are the last 2 that I'm ever going to smoke. If you've ever tried to quit something, you know how that goes, where you say, okay, this is the last time I'm ever going to do this, so let me just enjoy it, right, before I quit. I, for a period of time, went through the whole quitting process, and I am remembering that I did dispose of some cigarettes into somebody's trash bin, because I can't smoke the whole pack if I'm quitting, right? Like, I'm only going to have 2, and I got to get rid of the evidence. Is it even evidence if I know what I'm doing with it? I don't know. But anyway, that is the answer to the first silly question to establish my humanity. Yes, I have used somebody else's trash bin for my own personal use. And if that person was a smoker, they probably would appreciate it, because they'd be like, wait, there's a full pack of cigarettes in here? Anyway, cigarettes are bad. Do not smoke, please. And if you are, please try to stop. I'm going to tell you how this podcast even came to be and why I felt the need to do it. So I am 42 years old, and when it must have been like 15 years ago, I was going through a ministry school from my church, and I wanted to just be used by God. I wanted to fulfill whatever mission and purpose He had for my life. I wanted that to happen. So I went through ministry school just as a step of faith in the process, a bit more Bible knowledge. Let me see how this is all going to play out. So I went through a 2-year ministry school through my church. And one of my professors, during our last chapel service, so we would have chapel, I think, once a week, and we would, worship, sing songs, and then somebody would give a message. So it was our last chapel service of our 2-year ministry school. And my professor said, okay, so last night when I was preparing for our last chapel, I thought, what should I do? I started praying, and God gave me a word for each one of you. He went down the line of students. My guess is there was like 50 of us. That's my guess, but I don't have the best memory. Anyways, trying to paint the picture. He's going to each person publicly and telling them the word that he got for them personally. So when he got to me, he said, what I got for you is diamond in the rough. You are a diamond in the rough. You are a diamond, right? But you don't really see it. You don't fully acknowledge it. And you've got a lot of things to work through. Not that you have some work to do, but basically the message was, you're not there yet, kiddo. You're not there yet, but you have what it takes, basically, right? You're a diamond in the rough. You're chosen, you're a treasure, but you don't really see it, I guess. So anyways, I left that day from the final chapel service. I immediately started looking up what is a diamond in the rough, because why I had never heard it before, I don't know, but I had never heard that term before. So I started looking it up. I started talking with some people close to me in my life about what they thought about it. And they're all like, oh yeah, you are a diamond. I don't know, do something with it, right? So anyways, I decided I would write a book. So I started writing a book about diamonds and as it relates to our faith and who we are in God. And I spent a good amount of time working on this book. So I would say maybe off and on for like a year at least, I was working on this book, and I was figuring out, how do I get out of the rough? How do I just be the diamond? And so I went through this process of researching how diamonds are formed. The way that a diamond is shaped is by another diamond. So the only thing that can shape us really is each other. And then I was having some, I don't know if conflicts is the right word in my faith. I was struggling, I guess, with my identity in God. And I just stopped writing the book. And I was like, you know what? He said I'm a diamond, but am I a diamond? Just debating that. And then as years go on, this is 15 years ago, right? So as years go on, I continue my walk with God. And I just kind of have it in the back of my head, this whole diamond in the rough thing. But it's bigger than diamond in the rough, because it's kind of the way that I have seen myself, and I tend to see myself a lot, is you have potential, but you haven't fully overcome yet. Or you're supposed to do this great purpose in the earth, but you're not quite there yet. Like there's this end outcome of where I'm supposed to be at, but I can never get there. Anyways, that thought has kind of plagued me for years. That am I ever going to just get there? Am I ever going to fully see who I am in God, acknowledge that? Am I ever going to fully be in that? Am I ever going to be able to fully share my voice with others? That feeling of not making it yet, but maybe I can make it one day, has been on my mind for the past 15 years. Anyways, skip ahead to now. I am out on a walk one day because I'm trying to be healthier. The doctor said that I have high cholesterol, or maybe it's a little bit concerning. So girl, get your 30 minutes of cardio in a day. So that's what I've been doing, 30 minutes a day. And anyways, I was out on a walk one day, and one of my friends from this ministry school, we don't talk often, but we still have each other's numbers, and I love her. She texted me while I was on my walk. I haven't heard from her in years, and just out of the blue, she said, hey, I was thinking about you, and I was just going to ask you, are you still going to write that book about diamonds? And as I was walking, was thinking, ugh, I want nothing to do with that, right? Like, I already tried that. It didn't work. Just like the feeling of I'm never going to get it together, right? Everybody has all these stories of how they overcame, how they became who they were called to be. But my story, I just feel like I just never can quite get there. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't want anything to do with that anymore. But something comes to my mind on that walk. Maybe I'm not writing a book right now, but I do have to get the message out. I do have a purpose in my life. I want to make a difference. So how can I make that difference? Well, let me just be honest about where I'm at. I am still in the rough. I am still working it out. I am not perfect. I have faith in God to work in me. I have like maybe a tiny bit of faith in myself to be able to work through things. I know I've got great people in my life to help sharpen me and strengthen me and all these things. So I want to be able to share that with the world. And more than anything else, if you're listening, I want you to know that you're not alone. You're still working through something, but nobody has fully arrived, okay? Like, you might hear these stories of somebody overcame this and overcame that, and there's victory, and that's really exciting, but nobody is that perfect diamond. Nobody is shining bright perfectly. Be encouraged that you can overcome things, and you can still overcome that thing that you're working through right now that seems impossible. Yes, you absolutely can. So the way that these episodes are going to be set up and these interviews are going to be set up is the interview is going to start with getting to know who the person is. Then the next part of the interview is going to be talking about an area of their lives that they have overcome. It can be something really small, like a story I'm about to share. It can be something really big, like I overcame cancer. And then the second part of that is going to be, what are you currently working through right now? And do you have a strategy of that thing that you're currently trying to overcome, right? Like, you're in the rough right now with it. And you're trying to work your way through it. It's hard. How's that going to happen? I'm going to share with you a story of something that I currently see as a victory in my life. As I'm looking at this area that I'm seeing as a victory, I have to understand that there's different ways that we can overcome things in life. There's different ways we can have a victory, right? Sometimes it's our own will. Like, sometimes we are just driven and we're like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to get toned. I'm going to eat good, because your will, like, you just want to. You have a drive and a desire for it. Or maybe it's somebody else is helping you. Somebody is calling you every morning and saying, girl, get out of bed, boy. Get out of bed. Get into the gym. Maybe somebody is there along the way guiding you and motivating you. Or maybe it's an act of God. Maybe it's all Him. Maybe it's this miracle that one day you wake up and you have a mindset switch and you're like, I am supposed to be healthy. I am supposed to be toned. I am supposed to work out. Okay, that's just an example. So how did you go about overcoming? So this first story is about something that currently I've had victory in. And it's not like a huge area of life, but it's an important area of life. It has to do with where my heart is a lot, which is with animals. So this first area of victory is how I got my dog. He's laying right by me. He's on this little bed next to me, being the sweetest boy in the whole world. And I already have one dog. So last year, at this time, we had a dog named Achilles. I have a husband and a 7-year-old daughter. So we had a dog named Achilles. He was 16 years old and he passed away. And if you've ever had a dog pass away that you love. You know their family, and it is just devastating. It is so hard. My heart goes out to anybody that loses an animal. So anyways, our dog passed away, and we told my daughter, her name's Abby, we said, we're not going to get a pet right away, but we will down the line get another dog. The talking about that started happening. My daughter turned 7 in May. So the talk started to turn into, we're going to get you a dog for your birthday. So my husband and I knew that we were looking for a dog for my daughter and for ourselves around the time in May. So that had given us, maybe it's been like 6 months then since our sweet Achilles passed away. So we kind of had our eyes open and were aware if we saw a situation that we would take advantage of it with adopting a dog. And so my sister-in-law, she loves animals too. Anyways, she would periodically send me just links to like different animals in different shelters. And she would jokingly say, just go pick him up, please go get him. And obviously I would want to. So it just took a while, right, for the right opportunity to spring up. So one day, my sister-in-law sends me a message. I can't remember if it was through Messenger on Facebook or if she texted it to me, but she sent me this picture of like 20 dogs, these like, I don't know, like all these puppies that had just been unloaded in this one animal shelter. And after she sent that to me, I sent it to my husband. We ended up that day going and adopting one of the puppies. Her name is Hazel. We love her with all our hearts. She is a lot of work though. She has Siberian Husky in her and she is nonstop. She pretty much hangs out in the backyard and runs around all day because she has so much energy. We've started to take her on walks, and that does not come without injuries because she is not disciplined. She needs more training. Anyways, crazy amount of energy for Hazel. We got her at 8 weeks. She is a lot of work. Okay, so moving on. Here's the victory story. My husband said with Hazel, maybe she needs a brother or a sister. Maybe that will help to calm her. Maybe that will help in a lot of areas. And on top of it, my husband said he's really tired of being the only male in our house because we have Hazel, we have Abby, we have a pet hamster. Abby's pet hamster named Cookie is also female. Plus our sweet boy Achilles had passed away. And so my husband just really had it on his heart that he wanted a male dog in the home. So knowing that, I started to be on the lookout, just in the back of my head. But I also run this dog business from home, so my life feels like constant animals, constant dogs for me right now. So we gotta have another one. So I'm fighting this thought, right? But at the same time, I have a hard time saying no to dogs. I have a hard time, even when somebody contacts me through the dog business and says, hey, can you watch my dog? And I'm already booked. I'll say, yeah, I'll take him. That's part of my problem. That's part of the issue has been boundaries. And am I able to say no? I'm kind of looking around to the idea that we're going to get another dog. As we're thinking about getting this other dog, we're thinking about who's going to get along with Hazel because Hazel is a lot to take. She has so much energy. So we need a dog that is going to put up with her. So in my dog sitting business, a lot of dogs will have nothing to do with Hazel because she'll jump on them immediately and want to start wrestling. And I will tell you that most dogs don't have that kind of energy. Most dogs that I have watched steer clear of Hazel. They don't want to be a part of it, right? They want to be the sit in your lap type of dogs, have you love on them, they love on you type of situation, and maybe play here and there, but nobody liked the energy that Hazel has. So over time, we've noticed certain dogs that get along better with Hazel. So we've noticed like the small little pug dogs. For some reason, when Hazel's around the little pugs, she will give them their space more than other dogs. And the bulldog type of looking dog, she'll give more space to. If it's a big, large lab, she'll play with the lab will enjoy her. So all these different elements, right? Are they going to get along with Hazel? Is it going to meet my husband's need of one of our favorite dogs that just loves on you? Is that emotional support? Is it going to meet that need? Because I have that need as well. And so does my daughter. All just want to snuggle with a sweet angel. And so all these thoughts are going through our minds. I started looking into bulldogs. So I go on this one website, Bulldogs for Adoption. And I am looking around. I see some puppy bulldogs that I fall in love with instantly. Really hard not to fall in love with them. I'm thinking, okay, these places have adoption fees, right? I wonder what the adoption fee is. So I call the phone number and she said, yeah, so your dog is going to come with a package, and we guarantee if your dog has any health problems, something happens to the dog passes away, for the first year, we're going to replace your dog. We'll give you a new dog. And we'll also cover its medical issues. If it has any medical issues, we can promise you it's 100% bulldog. And anyways, she's going into the package, and then she starts saying we do have payment plans, and I'm realizing I probably need to get off this call soon because this ain't gonna happen. Anyways, she gets to the end of the spiel, and the dog is $10,000 for this bulldog puppy. I was like, okay, that's a no. That is a no. So get off the phone. But then in the back of my mind, I'm still researching bulldogs, right? So speed things up a little bit. Last week on Thursday, my daughter's hamster Cookie passed away. And it was a really sad day because we all love Cookie. And I had to give my daughter the bad news when I picked her up from school. And she cried on the way home. We got home. My husband came home a little bit after. They buried Cookie on the side of our house. Cookie was the sweetest girl. Feisty in the beginning, but then she became truly sweet. Anyways, Cookie passed away on Thursday. Friday morning, I wake up and I start researching bulldogs. I'm just looking, like, are there any bulldogs right now for adoption that are even affordable? I find this website of this, is it a humane society? Animal shelter. So I see three bulldogs on this adoption site. And they're all a year old. And I'm thinking, that's perfect. They're potty trained and they're a bulldog. They hopefully would get along with Hazel. Plus they look sweet and snuggly and adorable. And it looks like the adoption fee is only $49. So that's going to be a go for me. So I call my husband, and I had sent him a couple pictures of these bulldogs. And I feel like he's not really feeling it. And I'm like, I thought that you said that a bulldog would work. And he's like, well, yeah, maybe they would, but I have to be there in person. And he said, we can't be as rushed as we were with Hazel. Like when we got Hazel, it was a rush because adorable dog. That's a story for another day. Adorable puppies go fast in these places. Anyways, that thought was in my mind. My husband says, I'm at work all day. This is last Friday, right? He's at work. I work from home. I say, is there any way that you can meet me at this shelter and we can just check out to see if you love these bulldogs, if they could be the new addition to our family? And he's like, no, there's no way I can even take a lunch today. I'm pretty booked. So he said, if you want, you can go visit the shelter, go visit these dogs. And I said, okay, are you going to trust me then? Like if I find the one, are you going to trust me to bring this baby home? And he said, well, oh, I just snorted. He said, I'd like to be there. Can you wait till tomorrow? And I said, no, because when I called this number, they said these dogs go fast, so I got to get there. And he said, well, that's been our problem in the past, is we go too fast. We need to just slow down. Like if it's meant to be, it'll be, right? So I'm trying to talk him into, can you take a little break? Can you meet me at the shelter? The answer is no. Then I start thinking, okay, should I just go see the dog, these bulldogs? Do I even have the capacity to say no, to not bring a dog home? Do I even have that ability? I don't know. Because like I said, I'm working on boundaries with saying no to animals. Anyways, I call my husband back after reflecting, and I say, okay, let's say I get there and I see one of these dogs and I realize it's your son. and you trust me to make that decision to bring him home. And he said, no, you look at him today. I'll go back tomorrow with Abby and we will then look at him. If he's still there, it was meant to be. If he's not there, it wasn't meant to be. So he said, but you can call me, you can send video, you can FaceTime. I won't be able to talk, but at least like you can FaceTime me and show me the dog. So I said, okay, fine. Like, he's like, this is your opportunity to, you can do it. Like, you can have boundaries. You can go there and you can say, you can see the dog and you don't have to get him. Like, you don't have to fall in love with every dog. You don't have to say yes to every dog. So I'm like, you know what? I can do that. So I get off the phone with my husband and I start praying. I'm like, Lord, you're going to have to help me, because I know it's so hard to go into these places, to see these sweethearts in there and not want to rescue one, right? So I know this. Anyways, I had called the shelter. They had said, we can't guarantee that these bulldogs are still going to be there. We'll try to have somebody from the shelter contact you, but it's really best if you go there right when they open at noon, because, you can't guarantee that any dog's going to be there for any given amount of time. So I go to the shelter at noon, and at noon, people are already starting to pile in. There's a parking spot that I have to, I probably shouldn't have parked there because it didn't give me a lot of room. And plus, it's the whole situation where you're having a hard time fully opening your door to get out of the car. Then plus, you're running the risk that the car next to you is going to dent your car as they're opening their doors. But I was like, you know what? Desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm going to squeeze into this spot. Good decision, bad decision. I don't know. My adrenaline was going. I squeezed into the spot. I go immediately into the shelter. There's a line starting to form already. I get up. It's my turn. I talk to the lady and I say hello. Plus, I am anxious. I don't know if this is adrenaline. I don't know if this is just like, girl, don't make a mistake, or girl, you got to try to hurry and figure out which dog is your dog. But at the same time, you're going to have to strengthen your resolve to not be able to bring a dog home if it's not time. I got this adrenaline going and this anxiety going. Anyways, I'm thinking to myself, be cool. When you talk to this lady, she doesn't need to think you're a freak and you're here to get all the dogs. So anyways, I get up there and I'm like, hey, I saw these, a couple dogs online that I wanted to see if you still had here. And she's like, what are the numbers of the dogs? So I gave her the numbers. She said, oh yeah, that first bulldog, PetSmart's gonna take him. I was like, what? PetSmart's going to take him? Isn't he here now? And she's like, yeah, he's here now, but PetSmart is taking him on the 10th. Like, he's not going to be here anymore, so no, you can't see him. And I said, well, what about this other bulldog? And he's like, no, they got some medical things. And I'm like, well, can I at least see him? And she's like, no. Like, sometimes these places, they don't care, right? Like, they have to deal with so much. So that's the vibe I'm getting. So then I'm like, okay, well, are there any dogs available for adoption? Like, can I go look at them? And she's like, yeah, the doors are back that way. There's a couple different rooms where all the kennels are. So I walk back into the kennel rooms and she said, just don't open the kennel, right? Like, you can't go in the kennels. You can walk through the hallway, and if there's a dog that you want more information on, and come give me their number and I'll give you more information on them. Okay, so the first room that I go into is a medium-sized dog room. These dogs they have two sections, right? There's the lower kennels and they have the kennels that are higher up. So I walk through and I noticed that some of these dogs look like pit bulls. Nothing against pit bulls personally, but for me, that's not something that I want in a dog, because they have a tendency that they could be aggressive. I'm not saying they all are aggressive, but they have a tendency where they could be. So that's a hard no. Plus, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what am I even doing here? The bulldogs are not even available, yet still I'm here looking for a dog. So I'm just praying too. I'm like, God, you got to help me, because I really don't know what I'm doing, but here I am. So I start looking at these dogs. There's other people in there. Like, you can tell when somebody has found a dog that's their favorite, because they start to hover by that dog's kennel and start looking through the paperwork on that dog and just considering and all these things. You can kind of tell. So I could tell there was a couple there that was looking at this white and black dog, and they were really considering him. And he did definitely look cute, but I didn't dare go barge through because they were already looking at him. So I continued my way around the room until I got to the very last kennel. And in this kennel was a dog named Cuddles. And I don't know why I stuck my hand in his cage, and this is highly not recommended. He was so sweet. He was so precious. Something in me was like, I need to connect with this dog. I did the thing you're not supposed to do. I stuck my hand in the thing to say hi to him, right? In his kennel. And he immediately licked my hand. He was a sweet, sweet boy, and I just loved him so much immediately. I know like that is, easy to do, but for real, this dog is special. So anyways, I took a video of him to send to my husband. I said, he's so sweet. And I sent my husband the video. In the back of my head, I'm like, I hope he doesn't have any pit bull in him, because he might have some pit in him. Anyways, I'm still thinking, what am I doing here? Anyways, I go into the next room that has larger dogs, and I start walking around. I take some more videos of some cute dogs that I notice. Maybe some that, especially some male, because it has to be a male, right? Some males that are sweet that I think my husband would love. So then I would take those videos and then I would send him more videos, but he's like in meetings as I'm sending videos and sending texts. Anyways, I leave the large dog section of kennels and I think, should I go back to the medium dog room? And I decide to go back to the medium dog room. And when I get into the medium-sized dog room, there is a lady and a worker standing in front of Cuddles' kennel. And I'm thinking, oh no, man, she probably wants him, right? Like, she realized how awesome this dog is just as quickly as I did, and now she's asking questions to one of the guys that works there. So I eavesdropped the conversation a little bit, stepped a few cages over, and was trying to listen to what she was saying. And I thought she asked him, does this dog have some pit? Like, do you know if this dog's going to get any bigger? And he's like, no, I don't think it has any pit, and maybe he'll get a little bigger. I don't know. So anyway, she's talking to him. I'm eavesdropping. And then I decide to enter the conversation. The worker leaves, and I start talking to her, and I say, did he say it has any pit in him? And she said, oh no. And she said, actually, this dog looks exactly like the breed of dog that I have at home. And I was like, yeah, he's pretty cool. And she said, yeah, they are just the best dogs ever. They are the best family dogs. They are, perfect pretty much. And then I was thinking, is she probably gonna want to get him? So then I asked her, I'm like, are you considering getting him? And she said, oh no, I can't have another dog. And she's like, anyways, she pulls up all her photos. She's like, let me show you the photos of my dog. So she pulls up all his photos, and she's like, yeah, perfect family dog. She's like, I doubt that this dog right here, Cuddles, is going to be here for long. And the characteristics that she was explaining and I was seeing was the exact characteristics that I felt like we needed in a dog. So I was starting to think, oh no, I need to meet this dog. But he wasn't a bulldog. And he wasn't the breed that was my husband's favorite breed, right? So I'm texting my husband. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to do a meet and greet on this one dog. And if it goes well, can I call you? So I call him as I'm in line ready to do the meet and greet. And I said, I know this sounds crazy, but I think he might be the one. I'm like, I have to meet him. And my husband's like, okay. And I'm getting really antsy, like that anxiety is starting to kick back in, where I'm thinking like it's a rush, like the decision needs to be made. I can't be here forever. The dogs aren't going to be here forever. If I'm going to take this opportunity, I'm going to take this opportunity. So they get one of the workers to come take out Cuddles to do a meet and greet with me. So this worker takes me and Cuddles outside. Cuddles immediately looks back at me, acknowledges me, gives me kisses outside. And Cuddles is like giving kisses to this worker. And I call my husband and I do FaceTime with him so he can see Cuddles. And Cuddles is just licking my face, being the absolute sweetest. Anyways, I spend a little bit of time with Cuddles outside. And I'm thinking, this is the one, like, what am I gonna do? I was gonna have boundaries, like I wasn't gonna come in here and just get a dog without my husband meeting him. So I called my husband. I'm like, I know this sounds crazy, but I think he's the one. Like I said, I'm not doing the thing that we said I wasn't going to do. This isn't like a boundary issue. I really think that you will love him. I really think he is the one. Now, something that I didn't mention, sometimes I've got it on my wrist, it's 33, but it's the age that Jesus was when he died on the cross for our sins. So that number to me, periodically, if I see it, I feel like I'm on the right path. So when I was talking to the lady by Cuddles Kennel, I saw 33, and I can't remember if it was on the sheet of paper or something else, but it was just a sign to me like you're on the right track. Things are going the right way. So I say to my husband, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Because I think this is our dog. And he said, I don't know. He's like, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and make the decision. So the decision ended up being, I ended up getting Cuddles. And now his name is Major. He is Major Cuddles. And I brought him home. He met Hazel. I mean, this is like perfection at its finest. He goes to Hazel, and Hazel immediately gets in the submissive position. Hazel's not submissive. They wrestled around, they played. Then I brought Major back inside, and I went to get my daughter. I picked her up from school, and I said, today, I had good news. It's not your hamster just passed away, but it's like we got a new family member. And she saw the paperwork right away, and she said, did we get a dog? Another dog? So she came home, instantly loved him. My husband got home, instantly loved him, and said, you did good. And I said, thank you for trusting me. He said, well, I don't know about that, but he's like, I knew I had to let it go. Moral of the story. How did I overcome this challenge? Okay, well, one way, I believe 100% it was God. I was talking to him. Sometimes I will ask God for something and it will take 10 years before it comes into fruition. This, I felt like everything was moving super fast. I was getting yeses. All the doors were open. I sensed God with me. This turned out to be the perfect dog for us. Okay, so it was an act of God. It was also, my husband believing the decision over to me, staying in contact with me, encouraging me. I'm talking to God, I'm talking to my husband, and I am telling myself, you are gonna not let this idea in your mind that you don't have what it takes to do this creep in. You're not gonna allow that. You're going to go through the process. So I went through the process. So that's my little story of overcoming. The area right now that I'm currently walking through relating to this, that I'm still in the rough with, is training Hazel. Oh, my voice is even cracking. The story where I'm still in the rough here is learning how to calm Hazel. So do I have any strategies for that? Well, the things that have been working so far is Hazel likes to be outside. She loves being outside. So I don't feel bad that she's outside the majority of the day. She sleeps inside. But we have a big backyard that she can just run around and play in. I was taking her for walks. My husband took her on some walks. She kind of messed up his back from the walks, and she also contributed to my plantar fasciitis. Is that how you say it? Where my foot hurts or whatever. And I can't do a lot of walking without my foot tightly, what do you call those things? It's like a booty thing that you slip on your foot that adds pressure all around your foot, so it helps with the plantar fasciitis. Anyways, she was aggravating that because she wants to run the whole walk. She's strong. The walks worked for a while, but now are not working. So now part of the strategy is, well, the next step was going to be, get her like a brother or sister, help her to get some of that energy out. That's been an answer to prayer. That has been successful, but Major does need breaks from Hazel. He can't be in her energy the whole time. So anyways, the next strategy for overcoming the craziness of our wonderful Hazel is I'm going to get her a weighted vest to help with her anxiety. I've already tried calming chews for her, don't do much for her. So we're going to try the weighted vest next. That is the strategy. Okay, so this concludes the first episode. I wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to give you an idea of what this podcast is so that when I interview people, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get stories of things that people have overcome. You're also going to get stories of things that people are still overcoming, still in the rough with, right? Like, we're not all shining bright. Life is a continual process of working things out. So you're not alone. If you haven't reached this victory spot, it's okay. Try to think of an area, even a small area in your life that you've had victory in. Think about how that happened. How did you get that victory? And then think about what you are working on right now. And can you apply the same strategies that went into the thing that you have overcome into this thing that now you are working through? So for me, I'm still going to pray about it. I'm going to ask God, like, what do I do that's best for Hazel? What do I do to, make sure the dogs aren't running our lives? Because that's also another issue. And anyways, that concludes episode 1. I really hope that you follow these episodes and follow this podcast and listen, because you are going to be encouraged. This is something like beyond myself that I want to do to let people know that you're not alone. We are all working through it. We are all in the rough, and we're going to come through the other side. At some point, we are going to come through the other side. So thank you so much for listening, and exciting interviews to come. Thank you. Bye.